All right, King, the hotline's lighting up here, and this has to be our very special guest for this week's show, a man that you know very well, not only personally, but also his family. His name is Jeff Jarrett, and just announced earlier this week. We talked about it before, King, but just to remind everybody, he was announced as a person to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the year 2018. That's going to be happening WrestleMania weekend in April. So we had to get him on to talk about that and some classic Memphis wrestling. His name is Jeff Jarrett.
Wait, I dialed the wrong number. Is this Lawler's podcast? Oh.
Yes, no, actually, it's the restaurant, Jeff. We're here at my barbecue restaurant out on Germantown Parkway. But yeah, this is where we do the podcast from.
Ironic, I can't get in. The guy wouldn't let me in. Tell Benton Hales that I do know you. Just get through the door. No, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Do you want to place a to-go order?
Yeah, I will. Karen will be by momentarily to pick it up. So she's got the credit. She's got the credit card. So go for it.
There you go. Then let me just tell you right off the bat, big mistake. I learned that with Lauren. Don't ever let them have a credit card.
Of course not. No, thanks for having me on, guys. I've been looking forward to this ever since Monday rolled around and Glenn did the invite, and he can tell you there's digital proof. I said, I can't say no to the King. Of course I would love to do this podcast. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it, Jeff. And Glenn knows this, and we've told people this from the get-go when he talked me into doing this podcast. I hate to call people and ask them to be guests on the show because I know how much I hate to be called and be asked to be a guest on a podcast. So, Glenn, I leave that dirty work to Glenn. But, you know, we really appreciate you coming on, and this is a special time with you just being announced as the new member of the WWE Hall of Fame coming up. And man, I mean, what day did you find out about it?
Wow, it goes back into January. So it's been, and you definitely can relate to this, as many years as we go back. You know, it's been under wraps. And I don't know, obviously I'm not around, but, you know, I've known since early January. And so for it to be held under wraps in this business, a secret that long, and I've had some texts with folks within WWE. We were all very, very pleasantly surprised that, you know, word didn't get out. There was a little bit got out a couple of days before, but so I've known quite a while. It's been really cool just to sit back and watch it. And then when the news broke on Monday, Monday was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I've got, you know, some of my closest friends here in Hendersonville that I see every day. There's a group at the gym that I see, and then obviously there's other groups and friends and buddies and all that I didn't tell. And that's, you know, that's part of this business and how fun it is. They were shocked. And of course you get the old, Jesus, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, because it was none of your business. And truth be known, and you can really relate to this, I didn't even tell my dad.
Wow.
The only people that knew were obviously Karen, and then she left as women do, she left the computer screen up, and there were some dresses and stuff like that, and then there was another screen left up about travel. And our teenage daughters, Karen and Jaren, as teenage daughters can so well do, they put two and two together about a couple of weeks ago, and Karen had to break down and tell them. So it's been a secret, and that's been the fun part of it. I was given strict orders to keep it hush-hush, and so as you know in this business, King, the fewer the people that know, the better chance that it gets out. So I certainly did my part, and the guys at WWE obviously did. And so it was fun. Monday was really fun. And
of course, you know, this day and age, well, it started a while back, but with the dirt sheets and all of that sort of stuff. But now with social media and all that, it's almost impossible to have anything be kept a secret in wrestling or anything to be a surprise anymore in wrestling. So the fact that you were able to do that is really cool that you were able to pull that off. And it does make it, you know, I think it makes it more enjoyable for the fans. I don't think it is good when stuff like that gets leaked out, so to speak. You know.
Yeah, well, and that's, you know, it's you know, there's so many. Go back my entire career. It's your career. It is those moments that we, as a fan, and I was a fan like you long before we put on a pair of boots. But that's the that's part of the magic. You're like, oh my God, I never thought I'd see that. Or Lawler versus Terry Von Erich. Oh my God, I never thought I'd see that matchup. Well, you got to see it. Well, this is something that as legend continued to grow over the years. Jeff Jarrett, there's zero chance of him and Vince ever even having a cordial conversation. And lo and behold, it obviously came out a lot more than us having a conversation. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm super excited for New Orleans. And I will say this, on the very first call that I had, we talked about, and I won't go into it, but who's going to induct me, but also, I asked about you because Jarrett goes without saying. I was a fan of Jerry Lawler long before I got to be around you and got to work with you, and then as we go through the years. So, the big part that you play on that night, it's special. It is. It is special in so many ways.
Well, I mean, it's going to be, hopefully I'm going to be hosting again this year. I've been doing that for a number of years, and hopefully that'll continue on. And that's one of the things that really make that night special to me is when you really, you basically, everybody that's getting inducted on some level because you've worked with them over the years and everything. But then when it's somebody like you, Jeff, that I've known my, or at least your entire life, that really makes it unique. So I'm looking forward to it almost as much as you are. Now, I remember back 11 years ago when I got the call about being inducted, Vince McMahon actually called me himself and said, King, I'll never forget the conversation. He said, King, we're going to induct you in the Hall of Fame this year. And I went, no. And he said, no, what do you mean no? And I said, well, and I went on to explain to him, that, I don't know about you, but I always looked at Hall of Fames, especially like baseball and football, as something you got inducted into after you had an amazing career and your career was over and you were basically retired and sitting on the sidelines, and then they honored you for your career. And so that's what I explained to Vince. I said, well, I don't feel like my career's over. I'm going to continue to wrestle and still do to this day, 11 years later. And then he had to take some time to explain to me. He said, no. He said, this is not about making it seem like your career is over in any way. It's just we just want to honor you for all that you've accomplished up till now in your career and everything that you've done here in the WWE. So then when he explained all that to me, I was okay with it, and the fact that JR was going in, on the same year and all that sort of stuff, then I was okay with it. But who called you, and what were your first feelings when you got that call?
Well, I'll answer that. A WWE executive called me, and so I will leave that there. But I literally was, and it's no secret. I had an up and down year, a lot more down in 2017 than up. So I'm literally X amount of days, 2 weeks out of treatment, and I just had to sit there, and I got the text on Sunday morning. Can you chat real quick? And and Karen's in there getting ready for church, and it's like I got asked that question, and I'm like, huh? I truly was speechless, and this is what I did say. I said, is this like a yes or no? Are you asking me? Am I supposed to say like yes or maybe, or give me some time to think about it? I'm like, this just didn't. It didn't add up to me.
Well, how exactly did they put it to you? Did they say, hey, we've made the decision, or were they like asking you, or what?
Yes, they said we have, and I'll leave the names because I don't know how much confidential, but there is a group that had a discussion, and they said, we've decided that we would like to offer you an invitation to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you really, let me get back with you. Let me think on this. Let me get with my people.
I bet you're thinking, is this a rib? Is this like the ultimate rib they're playing on me, or what?
I can tell you this: the next conversation I had with the person who's gonna induct me said, yeah, Jeff, good rib. Yeah, right. And I said, well, take it for what it's worth. And he was in the middle of something. He said, "I'll talk to you tonight." But yeah, it was really surreal. And then the very next day, a guy that heard about it, I'll say that, and he said what I was thinking. Oh shit, Jeff! I'm too young. What are you talking about?
There you go.
I hadn't had enough of a career. I hadn't had a career long enough to do that, and I believe that. And I'll say this, I walked out of the gym on Monday, and it was announced, and they told me what time, and NBC Sports, because obviously I did the interview at the end of last week. And the very first text I got, and I told this to Karen, and I told it to another buddy of mine, which it just sort of like, wow, okay, this is real. What's Flair? Rick texts me 3 minutes after the announcement came out, welcome to the club, proud of you, Jeff, happy for you. So I just thought, wow, that's pretty damn cool. It was really cool. And I will never forget me saying, is this a yes or no? Like you're asking? Of course I'll do this. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty surreal. When I looked at it over the days and weeks after it, and I don't know if you've had the flu bug this year, Jerry, but I never get sick. Like you never get sick. The flu bug put me in bed for a couple of days, but as I was in the bed looking at it, there's less than 200 of us in it. And when you think about all the guys and all the territories, and then WCW and WWF and all the thousands and thousands of guys that have put on their boots, and there's less than 200 of us in the Hall of Fame. That's pretty special. It really is.
You're right. And wait till you get there in New Orleans, and wait till you get one of those new programs in your hand where you can leaf back through and see all of those guys that you're talking about, starting with Andre the Giant, and then just look at the pictures and look at those names as you go through the pages, and then all of a sudden you'll come up on your own picture. And I'm telling you, that is going to be the next time you'll just feel like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I still say that. I when I looked on the app of who was in it, I don't know. I'm like, I don't belong there. It's it's that simple. I still see myself being the semi-main event every week in Memphis for the King. I do. In my mind, that you just go, wow, that's something else. So it goes without saying, it's really special. It's really unique. And I've had some guys here that I'll say are outside of the wrestling bubble, and there's fewer and fewer of those people out there. But they ask about is there a Cooperstown? Is there this? And I said, no, but I said in my lifetime, I feel certain there will be. I said, because, and they said, well, why do you say that? I said, because I got a text from a guy at WWE who went to the warehouse and took a picture, and now I have not had home that light up Double J suit since 1997 or 8 or whatever. They still got it. They showed me a picture. It looks like it. I mean, they've obviously had it sealed for 20 years. So I told myself, if they have that, they have so much memorabilia.
Oh,
and whether it's in the New York City area or the Orlando, I think those are the two natural areas. If it's in Orlando with NXT in the Performance Center, the world's greatest tourist attraction, it will be, hell, I will buy my ticket to be the first in line to see all that kind of memorabilia. Because I know you well enough. You're a collector of Coke and among other things. But I'm a collector of wrestling stuff. And that kind of stuff, as the old saying goes, I will mark out on it.
Well, that's one of the cool things every year about Access at WrestleMania. They do bring out a lot. Well, not even it is a lot, but I'm sure it's only a portion of, well, like you said, of all the collection of memorabilia that the WWE possesses. But they do bring a lot of that out, and the fans get to go through and see a lot of that stuff. And I would bet you that jacket will make an appearance this year at the WrestleMania Access, which would be a cool thing. But yeah, I would love to see them actually have a brick and mortar, a building,
yep.
A home for the Hall of Fame. Somebody actually, I saw a tweet the other day, and we get all, especially down here in Memphis. Somebody said, Vince McMahon should buy the Mid-South Coliseum because it's just sitting there in great condition, but it's just being mothballed. He said they should buy the Mid-South Coliseum and make the WWE Hall of Fame in that building, and it would be a centrally located location in the whole United States. But I'm like you, Orlando I think would be cool because so many people from all over the world visiting Disney World, and now NXT is there and everything. Or New York City. With all the tourists there would be great too. But I just wish that they would go ahead and get that done and get an actual place that people could visit from time to time.
Well, it's a publicly traded company. It's all about the bottom line, and I truly believe it's a moneymaker. I really do. And
I do too.
And, you talk about the jacket being, I got a call, as the dominoes started falling and all of this, and the ring size for your ring, and just all the things that go into April 6th, they started asking, hey, do you have, and I said, let me cut you off. I said, this is, I've gone through 2 houses and 3 remodels, but about 15 years ago, it was right during the TNA time, because I'd moved the stuff around, but a buddy of mine, we got a warehouse, and I vacuumed, these sealed the bags up. I've got every pair of tights, starting from 1986. Wow. There's only 2 or 3 that I've give away over the years. So I went over there not long ago and brought about half of it, and I've got to make another trip with boots and all that kind of stuff. So they want me to dig through the different eras, but all the Memphis jackets were in there, and I was finishing up at the gym, and I scrolled through y'all's Twitter, that video that you guys put on Dinner with the King today. The old AWA and some of the Memphis stuff, me against Bachwinkle, me against Kurt Hennig, and I was looking at those jackets, so I just saw them the other day. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. That is what it goes without saying, what WWE does so well, the fan experience that weekend. The guy was telling me about Access and Andre and all the stuff. It'll be a sort of a Double J exhibit, so I'm excited, and they're actually going to try to get it to light up.
Well, that'll be great.
They're actually... Yeah.
Let's go back for just a minute if we can and talk about, and you're going to have to do most of the talking because my memory is just like I've got that CRS, if you know what that means. Anyway,
I got early stages of CRS.
Okay, but when you first started, of course, once again, what year was it when you really had your first match?
Well, in King, this is what's surreal. April 6th of 2018 is the induction ceremony. April 6th of 1986 is the date of my first match, which means April 4th, 1986, you were sitting at your house on Walnut Grove and you made the call. No, that was a month before. My bad, because that was the interview with the Angle when you made the comeback. But anyway, April 6th of 86 is when I had my very first match. But in March is when you came back from the loser leave and the situation with Dundee and Landell and all that kind of stuff. But me and Tony Falk stepped into Squared Circle and did our 10-minute Broadway, April 6th of 86.
Man. That's so crazy. When you talk about when you say those numbers, doesn't it just sound it just sounds unreal, doesn't
it? Yes. I mean it just gets crazy. I mean it's crazy that this April will be my 32nd year, and I'm really gonna make you feel good here, Glenn.
Oh,
Don't
boy.
hang up. I mean, when I got in, you were in your prime. It was not like you were a greenhorn when I got. I mean, you had, it was 86, so 80 to 85 was when the territory, or 79 to 85 was when you guys were red hot.
Sure. Jeff, I started. You say 86. I started in 1971, 47 years ago.
Unbelievable.
And when I say that, that really does sound crazy. But
well,
I remember going with Jerry. But now that I think about it, I don't think this was you. I think it was Tommy Rich. But I remember going in the barn over at Jerry's place, or down at there in Hendersonville, and I think that was Tommy Rich that he and I were working with and trying to train. Did I ever work out with you before as training?
But buddy, and this is where CRS hadn't got me too bad. That's when it was the I'll call it, you'll affectionately or unofficially, the big house. I don't know if that's it, but on that property is where the barn was, and you had come up, and I believe you had the old dreaded Memphis to Louisville trip, and you had come up and had stopped by, and you came back there. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? You might have come back from Evansville, and you were headed to Lexington the next day. But yes, you got up in there, and I can. I don't even know if we've ever talked about this. If we have,
I don't think so.
It's 28 years. I can remember just, excuse my French, scared shitless because Tony and there were some other guys, but I'm like, oh my God, this is Lawler's in the ring with what? I was scared to death, and I didn't hear a word you said or my dad said or anything. But I can remember that kind of deal, and I this is crazy. I can remember walking back up to the barn, and I'm fresh out of basketball and still going on and all that kind of stuff. All that. But the thing that went through my mind is, wow, it was just a couple of years ago, because that was when I was living with my mom when the Letterman show came on, and you did the thing with Andy and all that. I can remember. I'm like, shit, just a couple of years ago, I'm sitting on my couch and the Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler thing, and I bit hook, line, and sinker, and I'm like, wow. And now he's in the ring teaching me to wrestle. It was surreal. You may have trained Tommy, but you certainly got up in the ring with me and worked with me.
Yeah, I do remember that. In that the steaming hot barn down there, and Jerry had set up a ring in there. And I'm sure the session didn't last too long, because that's the main thing I remember. It was about 200 degrees in there.
Well, and here was the deal. We did that original angle where I was the referee, Jeff Leonard and Lawler, Dundee and Landell beat me up, and I did the old flurry, beat up Bill's ribs and all that kind of stuff. But I can remember you like, okay, I'm like, why is he down here? And well, okay, you were booking and this and that, and I was going to be wrestling, and you're like, no, do this and try to do, you were given pointers, you were training, and God bless your soul, 100-degree barn, and you were on the way to town.
I wasn't much on training anybody to wrestle, so to speak, as far as wrestling moves, but I think I might have helped you in trying to throw a punch. That was the main thing I would try to show people is how to throw punches. I'm pretty proud of the fact that a lot of guys like Eddie Gilbert and a lot of guys really got those punches down well,
Yeah, and it goes without saying, and this is what, when I do seminars and go out and do all that kind of stuff, I sort of tell them, I said, if you're in front of the crowd, like we were in Nashville, Louisville, Evansville, Memphis, weekly, hip tosses and backdrops and flying head scissors, and if you really want to get crazy, throw in a couple other moves. It's all moves that you need, but the punch, one punch, and I think Glenn tweeted that a couple of weeks ago after we worked in Memphis. A good punch goes a long, long way in a match. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you that, but yes, if you can punch, it certainly carries us a long way in Memphis.
Well, I was just before I came over here this morning, I'm putting together some videos for. I got this new show, Jeff, and I need to have you come down to Memphis and be on it. We're going back and doing classic Memphis wrestling TV shows every week. Starting in April, we're gonna be on every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, our old TV time for forever here in Memphis. And so, and my special guest on this week's show is going to be Dave Brown. And so I'm going back and I'm looking for different, footage featuring Dave and that sort of stuff. And just this morning I came across a clip of a match of me against Jackie Fargo, and I was like mesmerized when I saw how, and I think that's where I learned was from Jackie Fargo. But the punches that Jackie Fargo threw, and he even cut an interview beforehand with Dave Brown saying, I'm not much of a wrestler, but he said, I'm a mean and I'm and I'll fight with the best of them and brawl with the best of them. And that's what, that's what I learned from was Jackie Fargo, and his punches were just phenomenal. I mean, when I watched that this morning, I was just like, I said, dang, he was good. And so, if you can impart that and just watch people like that, that's it's hard to tell somebody how to do it, but if they get an opportunity to watch somebody or be around somebody that was really good at that, it's invaluable.
Well, can I tell a story on you, Jerry? And Glenn,
sure.
You could substitute any wrestler because we worked together, weekend from 86 to 93. I know you didn't make every town, and you went to WWE around 92-ish, whatever. But we've worked a lot of shows together, and you can plug and play any young wrestler coming through our territory, and the people would be rocking and rolling and all this, and the guy would come through the dressing room and just think they did great. And Jerry was never, ever bashful. Come here. What the F was that? And I knew it was coming, but most of these guys, but Lawler, your point was so spot on. Look, it's easy to work in front of a sellout crowd. When we've got this crowd out here, everything you do is magnified, and your punches were the shits. They were horrible. And then, if a guy had a decent punch, and here's the best thing. Here was my takeaway. 9 great punches in a row. Okay, good. You throw one bad one, you kill the entire 10.
Right.
Or the match,
the entire
or whatever
match,
it may
right.
be. Yeah, the entire match. And that wisdom, believe me, I listened, Jerry, whether you thought I did or not back in those days. I did listen, but it was so appropriate. And that was, you didn't care. You did, but you really didn't. You could care less about hip tosses and all that. But it was a simple psychology, and when it was time for the comeback, that heel better feed, and you better be throwing a good punch, or don't throw it. And you made that point many, many times to guys, and it sunk in. It
you know what?
Sunk in me because
you telling me that story reminds me. I guess I'm still that way because I just worked I worked Friday night in Glen Burnie, Maryland, right outside of Baltimore, with James Ellsworth. You remember the no-chin guy, James Ellsworth?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so here we are. We're working a match, and this is his hometown, right? So he comes up with the idea. He says, "Hey, why don't?" He said, "We got this little small, kind of skinny guy that's even smaller than me." And he said, "What I'd like for you to do is take him out to the ring with you, and tell the people that you don't even want to waste your time on James Ellsworth. So I brought along this guy that's going to take my place and wrestle James Ellsworth instead." And then the guy goes up in the ring, and James said, he'll go to clothesline me, and I'll duck, and then I'll hit him with the super kick, right? Or the no chin music. And so anyway, I said, okay. So now here we walk out to the ring, and it's complete sellout. The place, it drew really well. I got to give him credit for that. They came out to see him in his hometown, and the place was packed. And so we get out there, and the guy goes up in the ring, and I do my spiel. I said, Ellsworth, you're not even worthy of my time. So I brought along this little guy that's going to take my place. So the guy goes to throw the guy throws the clothesline. Ellsworth ducked, and he throws like the worst kick ever. Missed the guy by like 6 inches, right? And
I can see the look on your face now.
First move, right? So you know what I did? With the microphone, you're right. You can see the look on my face, and I just turned to the whole crowd and I said, "That didn't even look real, did it?"
Classic.
And so it was, I think that's the way I would do guys, if they came back and they had done something in a match that just didn't look good. I just felt like I couldn't let it go unnoticed.
Well, but that's look how we're now. We're talking to a guy who's been I'm a kid. I've only got 32 years in the business. You got 47. So you definitely know what you're talking about. But no, I can. I can just remember we started talking about punches, and I can remember from the barn, and that was something that I did. I practiced a lot on throwing a good punch.
Well, you mastered it. You really did, and that was great. And we talked about you and I working there in the barn of your dad's, and they're telling me they're waving that we were getting close on time here. But have you talked to your dad about the Hall of Fame? Of course, for people that may not know, Jeff's dad, Jerry Jarrett, and I were business partners in owning the territory for over 20 years here in Memphis. and so you know, we were really, really close and really tight, and I just wonder what's your dad's reaction to this?
I would love to tell you, and this is classic Jerry Jarrett. You know, he likes to take his trips and his vacations, but he literally, I have not spoken to him yet, because him and Jennifer, my sister, for people who don't know, Jennifer and her husband and 3 kids and my dad, and they went up in the mountains skiing, and they got back late last night. So I'm talking to him today. So I'll do a follow-up on dinner.
Wait a minute. Your dad went skiing?
Well, let me say this. He went on the skiing trip.
Oh, okay.
I can assure you, and you will chuckle at this probably. I'm sure he had a stack full of books for him to read, and
Okay.
he sat in a room and read while they all went out skiing.
Yeah,
No,
I
he
just
went up
couldn't.
the mountains.
I could not picture Jerry Jarrett on the slopes.
No, and he wasn't, I'm sure. But no, it'll be interesting to have the conversation. I'm excited. You know, and when NBC Sports asked me during the interview, they said, any closing remarks and something like that? And it just came to me. And I said, you know, I'm the lucky one. But my grandmother and you know, Teeny, as we affectionately called her, Uncle Thomas, who's on the other side of my family, who's was a wrestling referee, Eddie Marlin, my grandfather, who's a promoter. There's a lot of people, you know, Jerry, I don't have to tell you, but I'm telling the audience that, you know, I'm going to accept this on behalf because, you know, without Teeny getting in the business and working for your old boss, Nick Goulas, there would be no Jarretts in the wrestling business. It's just that simple. And I'm well aware of that. And Teeny was really good to me and really shrewd and taught me a lot of really simple fundamental basics about the business and really got me engaged at an early age. Before I got in the business, you need to learn about hanging window cards and pulling the ring and concession stands and that kind of stuff. So outside of the ring, Teeny taught me a lot. And so I'm accepting the Hall of Fame on behalf of my entire family. And it goes without saying, you know, my dad played a major role of me in this business. So I'm grateful for that and excited for him as well.
Well, I'm sure when you talk to him, he'll be proud, as Teeny is right now up in heaven. Your Uncle Thomas, Eddie Marlin, all of those people got to be, you know, just bursting with pride, as I am for you, Jeff. I mean, you know, it's great to see somebody that you had a hand in, you know, helping them get their start. To make it as far as you've made it here, to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. So congratulations. And if we're sort of out of time here right now, but I want to say, you know, I'll see you, of course, in New Orleans, but I want you to come and be on the TV show. And I want you to come back on the podcast again, because we just didn't even scratch the surface about Memphis wrestling. And I love our podcast fans are really into listening about, you know, love to hear the stories, our old Memphis stories. So if you'd come back again, and let's talk some old Memphis stories then.
I absolutely would love to. And, you know, when it just came out about be a part, and Jerry, you don't realize what a part you were because I didn't bug you with questions, but I watched everything. And if there's one match I watched just about every night in Memphis, it was your match. And then, you know, I tell people, and I just got asked this, and that's why I'll bring it up. And I know, Glenn, we're going over time. But people were asking me about different eras, and obviously the Double J era, I mean, the Attitude era came up and all that. But I said, when you really go back and look at my career, Lawler was the voice of so many of us. Specifically as a heel, JR was the play-by-play and great at what he did. But you know, you being who you are, specifically during that Attitude era, you were the one who gave, as JR would say, the lyrics to the Double J character. And I'll never forget, we'll come back and talk on it, but when the lighted up jacket burned holes through my shoulders and you stood side by side and carried on that interview, there's so many memories. So, yes, I'd love to come back and chat about it. I appreciate you having me on and really looking forward to seeing you in New Orleans.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, guys.